everybody, it's Kristen. It's Foodie Friday, and I wanted to pop in here and do a video about food. And I kind of want to give a little background because I imagine that many of you, prior to having surgery, tried a lot of things in terms of weight loss. Anybody? Yes. I know I did. And one of the things that happened to me, and actually that I talk a lot about with clients, is the obsession around food prior to surgery. One of the things that I've experienced after surgery as a result of my mindset shifts are that I'm not as obsessed with food as I used to be. And that's pretty awesome because part of my post-bariatric care has been really acknowledging good foods, bad foods, which I'll talk about in a minute because I think that's important to discuss. But my post-bariatric care was really focused on what my body needed, and then secondarily, do I like it? Whereas prior to surgery, it was, do I like it? Is it going to taste good? Is it going to make me feel better? Which is the emotional component, which I think is really important to heal following surgery. Because I know as a recovering emotional eater, I would eat when I'm stressed, sad, happy, hungry, bored, etc. And so do many of my clients. So the reason I wanted to talk about this topic, good food, bad food, is prior to surgery when I saw a nutritionist who was not a bariatric dietitian or a bariatric nutritionist, just a plain old RD, no, not an RD. She was a clinical nutritionist, so she wasn't even a registered dietitian. She was a nutritionist, a master's in nutrition. She was like, there's no such thing as bad foods. And I really wanted to believe that, but it was very difficult for me to wrap my head around because when I would eat certain things, and I'm not talking like cookies, ice cream, I'm talking like Cheerios or, you know, I felt like those were bad because I knew that the way that my body responded to food was that I did better low carb, and that I had a hard time wrapping my head around some of the higher carb items. And prior to surgery, I was also, I don't know if I'd say addicted to pasta and rice and that kind of thing, but it was something that I just couldn't say no to. And as out of necessity, my lifestyle has adjusted post-surgery, maybe many of yours has too, to where you just don't eat the pasta anymore, or you just don't eat the rice, and I don't eat the bread. And so while I don't look at good foods or bad foods, I have shifted my mindset, right? And this is the nugget for today, shifted my mindset around what does my body need first, right? So we're taught protein first, vegetables second, nutrition. But prior to surgery, it's very hard to conceptualize that because your stomach is so much bigger and you can just, you know, pack it in. And so you're looking for something to shove into that enormous space. And following surgery, the mindset shift occurs in some people, because don't get me wrong, there are some people who will still try to get the rice in and eat the pasta and all of that. I've met those people. They come into my office quite frequently. But what's important is to say what's good for my body, what's going to be healthy for me, what's going to fill me up physically and not, and that also tastes good. And I see that that's another thing that people, myself included, when I focus on the meat, the protein, and the veggies, I'm full physically, and guess what? Also in my head. And so another thing that a lot of people struggle with is that emotional hunger of needing to fill a specific void, and that goes beyond the food. That goes into a whole other level of care, because one of the things that popped up for me was when I started doing videos, these kinds of videos. And I'm starting a YouTube channel for YouTube videos, for videos that are similar. When I started to do videos, I just wanted to shove stuff in my mouth because it was uncomfortable. So it's important to recognize your own awareness of what makes you uncomfortable and what is driving you to eat. I'm not saying that you are eating, but the potential is there for all of us, right? The potential is there. So what is driving you mentally or emotionally to eat? And if you are able to practice awareness enough, right, then you'll start to see, oh, I start to look for food when I'm bored, or I start to look for food when I'm uncomfortable, or I start to look for food when this happens. And so there are emotional triggers that don't go away after surgery, after weight loss surgery. So it's important that we're aware of them and what we're reaching for. So again, it's not necessarily that you've done the deed, that you've put the food in your mouth, but that you're thinking about it, because those are the steps that eventually you'll get there if you don't hold yourself accountable and start to recognize, oh yeah, I'm emotionally hungry, or I'm head hungry. So I wanted to bring that up. And then again, following up with good food, bad foods, meeting with a client earlier this week, we talked about fajitas. And so this is Foodie Friday, so we're going to talk about some food. So fajitas. And I don't know if you guys saw a couple weeks back, I posted my very favorite Philly cheesesteak casserole. No bread. No bread. It's just meat, cheese, veggies, and that's it. So I saute the veggies, so Philly cheesesteak casserole. So I get full, right? And I have the taste of a Philly cheesesteak without the bread. There's no bread there, so there's no carbs, or very low carbs, because it's just the vegetables. Same thing with chicken fajitas. There are low carb tortillas. I can post a picture that you can get, or no tortillas at all, just the veggies, the cheese, and the protein again. And these are things that foods that we like to eat that are better nutritionally for us, that previously we might have thought of as bad, right? So, and even guacamole, you're not going to necessarily go for the chips, but the guacamole, avocados are a really good fat. So I wanted to share this with you today because sometimes we need to shift how we think about food. And we do need good, healthy fats. Olive oil is good. We're not going to have a whole pile of it, but we've got to get that protein in, and the veggies, and food can taste good. That's why I was asking you guys earlier this week, what are your favorite snacks? And I know somebody mentioned like pepperoni and cheese sticks. Like, that's great. I mean, we've got to get in the protein first. And so there's a lot of different snacks that we can access that aren't bars. I'm not against bars, but we want to get in more whole foods, the veggies, the lean meats, the dairy, the stuff that's high in protein, to really help us meet those nutritional needs. I'm not a nutritionist. I'm a psychotherapist and a mindset mentor. And so the reason that I feel that this is important is I experienced these shifts after surgery, and I know that for many obese individuals, the food is such an emotional, there's so much emotional gratification that we get from it. And it's amazing to me how many people come into my office and say, oh man, I watch the Food Network all the time, and now after surgery, I don't. I mean, there's a lot to that. And the reason that I'm so passionate about this is I'm a patient too, and I've gone through it firsthand. So I'm here for you guys to pick my brain. If any of this stuff comes up, and let's talk about food, because I enjoy food on a different level now. There's not as much shame around it, right? There's also that shame. I'm going to do another video on that, because I think with obesity, there tends to be that shame factor of, oh, I'm not allowed to eat because I'm obese. And after weight loss surgery, the weight goes, but sometimes the emotional stuff still lingers. And, oh, I can't look at that. And we've got to deal with those things. And so, yeah. So I'm here to talk to you guys about that. I'm so excited. So, food, feelings. good food, bad foods. Let's talk about what you think are bad foods. I know, if you've ever checked the blog, The World According to Eggface, she has amazing protein ice creams on there. And so there's a way that we can make our foods healthier. We can make things bariatric friendly, berry friendly. I'm all for that. So what do you consider bad foods? What do you stay away from altogether? Right? And how are you refocusing? How are you shifting your diet and to make this a long-term lifestyle change so you're eating things that are good for you, that are also tasty, that make you feel not just physically full, but also emotionally full as well. So I'd love to hear that from you. So thank you guys for letting me share today. And it's Foodie Friday. If you feel so inspired, share an amazing bariatric friendly recipe, either below or start a new thread, whatever works for you. And I look forward to seeing all of you in the comments. Okay, bye.